from Axios. Israel vows to retaliate against Iran for missile attacks. I'll give you the quick version. Over the weekend, you may have seen what happened. Over 300 drones and missiles were fired from Iran, from Houthi rebels and other militia groups at Israel directly, flying over Iraq and Jordan. Jordan, I believe their Air Force moved to intercept some of these. There were multiple layers of Israeli defense to take out many of these rockets and missiles. The U.S. deployed ships, which actually, I believe, also intercepted some of these. Around 5 actually struck Israel. Now, there was some reporting earlier. People were saying that Biden's administration had provided guidance to Iran. The story was that through Turkey, the Biden administration warned Iran that there were, if they crossed a certain line, that would be like a red line or something. But the U.S. is denying they in any way gave any advance information or anything like that. And I think that's a silly point unless we have more direct evidence as to what was said, because Trump had also threatened Iran, if you do X, we will obliterate you, which is like setting the guidelines. I don't think that matters. What matters is that Iran directly attacked Israel. Nation on nation. Israel is now vowing to retaliate. Biden has already said support for Israel is ironclad. We'll defend them. Vladimir Putin warned the U.S. not to get involved and said they would back Iran if this escalates. So, of course, following this, World War III was trending again. Now, here's the thing. Libby was just mentioning a second ago that, where's this Franz Ferdinand moment? What's this shot heard around the world? And the issue is it could have happened 6 months ago. It could have been Ukraine. We honestly have no idea. We're in the thick of it. We won't know until 50 to 100 years from now when they write the history books on World War III. Some people are saying it was when Israel attacked the embassy in Damascus. That was an attack on Iranian soil because that's the embassy. And then you have other people saying that's because an Iranian general who was facilitating the Hamas attacks on Israel was there and he was a target in their active war against Hamas. It's impossible to know when this started. I don't know.
I didn't know you could declare war on a group of people. That's a weird new thing that never existed before. 9/11's war on terror, war on drugs. It used to be a sovereignty would declare war on another sovereignty. There were no war on terror, war against this type of person.
Fake.
Yeah, these like wars to get the guy that thinks that way is like, what the hell?
But what are you talking about? What are you talking about here? What does that have to do with
going to war with Hamas? Like tomorrow, 9 new guys could join Hamas. Then what? Does the war just go on tomorrow again too?
Well,
what about in a year if more guys join Hamas?
They're at war with.
What if more
Gaza?
guys join? What if the war causes more people to join Hamas? Then do they just keep fighting forever? Is that the life?
We're talking specifically about Gaza.
I think it's nonsense.
And Hamas is the government of Gaza.
Yeah, they're a government. Of a territory.
Right. So Israel is at war with another government.
Then what are the dudes from Hamas doing in other countries? Like, aren't there people like the heads of Hamas in Pakistan living healthily and
Qatar and other countries?
What are they doing? Why are they not taking them out if that's what they want to do?
Because they don't want to die in Israel's attacks on Gaza. They're cowards. They're putting their own people at risk. And they are sitting in 4-star, 5-star hotels.
Why doesn't the Israeli government take them out with drones if they're in foreign countries and they're the targets?
Attack foreign countries?
Then
harboring terrorists.
Then you're attacking countries with their own military allegiances with their neighbors. And
it escalates war.
That is an escalation, which is, I think, they're trying to phase that kind of escalation.
The United States has military personnel in other countries doing the exact same thing. So, but I agree the U.S. can and should be talking with, say, like Qatar and other countries and saying those guys need to be brought out because they're escalating this war. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Maybe there is something. Maybe there isn't something. It's not so easy to say Israel just goes into Qatar and then kills people. That would be an act of war on these other countries.
They're in like 5-star. They're like in the Four Seasons and places like that. They're in the fancy hotels and these big towers. There's no way to target them with a drone without killing a bunch of other people.
Have there been extradition attempts?
Yeah, that I'm sure there have been discussions about that, but I don't know anything about it.
I think it's a good point that the U.S. could be doing more. I don't know exactly what is going on, but what I can say is, in the bigger picture, asking, will this be World War III? I don't know. I mean, NATO's at war with Russia and Ukraine. It's possible that in 20 years, they're like, oh, World War III started when Russia invaded the Donbass. It was the ousting of Yanukovych. They'll say, "Oh man, the ousting of Yanukovych resulted in the fall of Ukraine." You go read a history book. This is really amazing. You read Wikipedia. You read Encyclopedia, and it will say things like in 1941, so-and-so did this. By 1943, this is what happened. And you're like, yo, that was 2 years. That was 2 years. And these history books just jump because that's what they think mattered. It may be as simple as, with the ousting of Yanukovych in Ukraine, opening the door to creating a power vacuum, U.S. NATO interests began vying for power in Kiev, resulting in Russia invading the Donbass to secure a land bridge to Crimea, igniting World War III. It could very simply be when the president fled, World War III started.
Although now that we have a better understanding of how history books are written, we know that it's maybe not necessarily what they think actually happened, but there were perhaps lobbying interests as well. We've seen lobbying interests in American publishing, downplaying the concept of jihad, downplaying the atrocity of 9/11, and saying, really negative things about Christians and about Judaism, and saying, trying to equivocate terrorism with Christianity and Judaism, and balancing that out because of oppressor colonialism and things like that. So it, in a lot of ways, what it says in the history books is going to be entirely dependent on who wins this culture war that we've been in the throes of for at least a decade now.
Yeah, that's where my head's at too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That the historians of yore who are just trying to get to the facts, they don't exist anymore, and everything is polarized by the mainstream media. And you have prominent leaders in our country today who deny that there was a Russia collusion, hoax that happened in 2016, which is why anyone even knows anything about Ukraine. 2/3 of the American public wouldn't know anything about Ukraine if it didn't have to do with the Russia-Ukraine issues dating back to the 2016 election.
And then you look at like the Yuri Berliner situation where he was writing about NPR, the journalist at NPR who's saying NPR is hopelessly biased. And he's one of these. No duh. But like he's one of these old school guys who believes maybe we could just get back to basic journalism. And it's like, guy, that has been
naive.
Lost.
That ship has sailed.
Long sailed.
Wikipedia says Spygate is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, of course.
That Trump was spied on is a conspiracy theory. But even though it's been adjudicated and it is a fact.
Wikipedia is, of course, garbage, and anybody who cites it is foolish.
Well, the current CEO of NPR used to run Wikipedia.
That's right.
That's right.
She got $700,000 a year to do it.
Well, it was like
almost 800, like 799,000.
Something ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, she wants us to believe she walks past the people in first class and notes their white maleness.
That's right. Yeah. I guess the question is, what do you guys think is going to happen? Do you think Israel will retaliate? Is it going to drag the U.S. in, then Russia gets dragged in, and then China moves on Taiwan during the distraction, and World War III? Everybody?
You did have
gold. Hey, you see the price of gold?
Right. You did have the U.S. You had Biden say that Israel, any retaliation by Israel would not be supported by the U.S. And you also had Israel say that they would retaliate. So that's sort of an interesting spot.
Well, so Biden said we would not assist Israel.
Yeah.
Well, he said all kinds of things. Depends on what time of day.
Right.
And who's speaking for him.
But, Israel has so far successfully, and they would say that's in air quotes, defended themselves. But, they can't live like that, having the fear of that 24 hours a day. And that's why I'm sure they are going to take some targeted responsive action.
I think if we sit back and just narrate and watch, it'll be World War III hell. Nuclear, everything will die. It will all come to an end. But if we get active and create new cultural endeavors, people around the world will start overthrowing their totalitarian regimes. The Chinese will create their republic again. It'll have to start from the bottom up, and it's got to come from inspiration of young people.
I do have hope for the young people.
I don't disagree in the general concept of starting a new culture to try and change things, but I do believe that the car we're driving in is shooting straight off the edge of the cliff. Now, it's not a question of can we stop the car from flying off the cliff. It's are our seat belts on? And for those of us it's probably a bus actually. For those of us that are there and expect to be roughed up in the tumble down the side of this cliff, after the bus crashes and shatters into a million pieces, and a good portion of us who are paying attention and have prepared survive, what do we do next? And so that culture is going to be very important, and I agree with you on that. But simple version is, Iran attacked Israel. I mean, you can make the argument Israel attacked Iran's embassy, but there's a war going on. Iran is actively involved in supporting Hamas in Gaza. Israel is at war with them, targeting their leadership, which is Iran. Iran fires from their territory into Israeli territory. There is no, wait, guys, let's change the culture overnight to stop Israel from retaliating against Iran and igniting a World War III.
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how things work in reality, man. So I used to think it was just so literal that everything was like, next step, we'll create the next step. We'll create the next step. And therefore the next thing will happen. And now I'm realizing like things are they're more sporadic than that. Your behavior changes your entire environment, which has resounding implications on their entire environments. And it can like overnight things. People can have dreams and like change their feelings and things. So I have more faith that it's a more esoteric path.
What's the possibility that, Israel comes out with a statement saying, in the interest of not igniting an escalation which could lead to nuclear conflict, Israel will take the honorable position of bolstering its defenses and not retaliating on Iranian soil. Is that possible?
I don't know
Not
if
for your
it's
government
possible,
to survive. I mean,
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Apparently
it's not realistic politically. I mean, I'm sure that I understand that there was a meeting today. I don't know what the outcome of that was, of all the different political parties in Israel, probably looking for some kind of, consensus on what is the appropriate step. And there don't seem to be a lot of different shades of peaceniks over there who want to do nothing in response to this escalation by Iran. The Iranian regime, I should say. And what's surprising to me as someone who's looked at history is, we all lived in my youth in the Cold War, also living in fear of nuclear war. And then the people in the Eastern Bloc overthrew their oppressors and the world changed. And so now the military folks have to figure out some other targets and all of that. But the Iranian people have lived under this repressive regime for so many decades now. And that would be the simple solution, right? The Iranian people change their government.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.